When I'm out driving with Panthro in the Thunder Tank, we like to listen to the Old School Movements Podcast. Thundercats, ho!
Yes, another episode of Old School Movements Podcast, and it's good to be back again, guys. It's good to be back again.
It is.
Yeah, this podcast is, guys. This one's about. We loved Hollywood stars in the 80s, as we all did, and we love the action movies. And these four guys we're going to talk about now, they were massive in the 80s, and then, they're kind of something going on in the 90s, and then they're still flirting about now. And but when we were young, we were thinking these guys will be around forever and they'll be making the best films forever. But it hasn't really turned out that way, right? You know what I mean? Hasn't really turned out that way for them. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Today's podcast is 80s action heroes. What are they up to now?
Are they still as good? Are they still churning out the blockbusters we loved in the 80s?
Yeah.
We were talking about it before. You've got Denzel, you've got Tom Hanks, you've got De Niro. Their films, they're just always, you're going to see a good film. Yeah. But we had massive stars in the 80s that we thought, these guys are going to just keep churning these out. But some of them didn't, man. Some of them went downhill a bit. Yeah, but trying to come back. And
but you know what? You mentioned De Niro. I don't think he makes really good films now. He's a dirty grandpa now. He's making these silly he's these comedies that.
I quite like him in a comedy though, man.
Looking like the man in Up. It's just a weird time for De Niro now.
To the man Up, man.
It's just a weird time for me. I can't really get
doing Kia adverts, like all these stars. That's the stage we've got to. All these big Hollywood stars that we know from our eras, like they're doing adverts, man.
They're granddads now.
Some of these guys we're going to talk about now have done adverts, isn't it?
Yeah, they're just finding jobs wherever they can. But out of these four we're going to talk about now, who has stood the test of time?
That's what it's about.
From the 80s. So our first one, ladies and gentlemen, talk about Harrison Ford. Now, when you guys first saw Star Wars, Indiana Jones, were you guys gripped from the performances of Harrison Ford?
Definitely, man.
Yeah, it was Indiana Jones for me, definitely.
It was Star Wars Han Solo for me that first time I see him. He was the character for me, man. I like you like Luke, you like Chewie, but for me it was always Han Solo from Star Wars. I loved him so much for that. I weren't sure with Indiana Jones. It's like this is Han Solo, but it weren't. He played it in a way where you didn't associate him with Han Solo. It was Indiana Jones, and they both became them both characters. They were a lot of actors. Sometimes you see them in different films and you can't get another character out of your head sort of thing, but he done it well in them.
He did.
Both of them two characters. Childhood favourite. Still to this day, loved them characters, man.
Definitely. Like him being, I was saying, Han Solo and Indiana Jones, and these films are kind of close to each other. It's not like 5 years later. So they were both around at the same time, and as you say, he was those two characters. I didn't see Han Solo with a whip and a
Nah.
See, I remember seeing him in as Indiana Jones before seeing him as Han Solo.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
different perspective, right? Different way around. Yeah.
And but you're right. It's not. You don't see him as Indiana Jones when he's in Star Wars, and you don't see him, vice versa.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think. Like you say, they were close together as well.
Yeah, that's right. And he's one of them actors from Star Wars that managed to have a career and not be typecast. He could do other things.
To have a career, you can say.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of them have gone on film-wise. They haven't done much.
Not at all.
He's still knocked out blockbusters, and he's still, he's still today in some big films.
People still love him for Blade Runner alone. You know what I mean? Not even.
Yeah.
That's one of his characters. I know we spoke about this before. I never got into Blade Runner. I've since doing the podcast. You must go and watch it. I've still tried, and I struggle, man. I don't know, man. There's something.
No, I'm the same. I can't get into Blade Runner either.
Yeah, he started off with a film called Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round in 1966. That's his debuting film. So through that, from 66 to now, he's still making. He's still making films.
Still flying his plane as well.
Yeah, still flying his plane. Yeah, for real. I hope there's no snakes in there. You don't like snakes.
No, he don't like snakes. He can land it on a golf course though.
Yeah. In the 90s, that was a time where films were all over the place and people were experimenting and stuff. But he still managed to have blockbusters. Like he had The Fugitive.
Yeah.
He had Patriot Games.
Clear and Present Danger, Air Force One.
So he was still.
Route, didn't he?
Yeah, so he was still slyly there. But he did turn down a couple of films. A couple of films in the 90s, man. He could have done more. Apparently, he turned down Nick Nolte's character in Cape Fear.
Oh,
Okay.
that could have worked actually.
He turned down the role of Dick Tracy.
That's wise.
In the 90s, Warren Beatty took that role. He turned down the role of Bob Hoskins in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That's wise.
Yeah, I can't imagine him doing that. I can imagine him doing that.
And he turned down Kevin Costner's role in The Untouchables.
I can see him doing that.
But I think it's going to be Indiana Jones will be his big highlight again when he comes back with his walking stick. He ain't got a whip this time. He's gonna have a whip no more, man. It's like he's got to be PC now. He can't be walking out of a whip. No. I know it's still based in the old days, but for viewers, he can't be running around with a whip.
Thing is, he can't even run really.
Oh yes.
You can see these like in some of the films they have trouble running.
Yeah,
I think his knees are gone a bit, haven't they now?
Yeah.
I think he stood the test of time. Yeah. I give him a thumbs up.
All right. Punch it, Chewie. All right. Now, the next guy, I first saw him, and probably you guys first saw him, on a TV show, Moonlighting. With these actors, though, they've had low-key film careers first, and then went into a TV series, and then they've had a second birth and had a career because he actually started in 1980 in a film called The First Deadly Sin. So we've never heard of that film, and it probably didn't do well. But had a bit of Moonlighting, and then he died hard. You know what I mean? Some fly
a couple of
by
times.
night. So, but Die Hard was something that we've never seen before in the way of, one building is just being taken over, and he's got to save one man's got to do everything for the building. You know what I mean?
Save the Christmas party.
Save Christmas. So it was the way it was done was amazing, and he was the right character because we were used to the muscle bound heroes, and he was just an average guy, the guy from Moonlighting.
Yeah, he seemed too normal.
With glass in his feet. You know what I mean? Picking out glass, wearing a vest, and you know what I mean, just killing people for fun. After that, you had the sequels to the Die Hard movies and that, because Die Hard came out in the mid 80s.
It was about 88. It was getting on.
Something like that. Yeah. So we're kind of getting into the 90s. I think by
Die Hard 2 was 1990.
Yeah, and then he had Last Boy Scout, and then he had,
that was all right,
he had films happening there and there. But for me, in the 90s is when it was Bruce Willis' time. Like for him, he had some good films. Number one, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I'd say that. I don't know if I class it as his, but yeah.
Yeah, not his, but a film he was in. You know what I mean? And his role in it is,
is good.
He played it well.
He played it well, and that's what for me turned me to go, okay, this guy, he can act, and also with Sixth Sense.
Yeah, Sixth Sense is big. Yeah, I like that when I first saw that,
film.
man.
Which is an amazing film. I wasn't too keen on The Fifth Element. The idea was great, but it was a bit too shiny and rubbery.
A bit too space age. I remember as well, that came out just as sort of DVD came out, or around them days. I remember seeing it on I think it was on a plasma screen TV as well. They were new, and I was like, wow, that looks amazing. But I just couldn't get into the story, man. It was too weird, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but I say Pulp Fiction.
It's another Armageddon. It was a big blockbuster. Again, it's all right. It's watchable. It's like one of them Sunday afternoon family
Armageddon was
films.
all right.
Yeah,
I think I went to cinema
watchable,
to see that.
That's a Stax film. That's a Stax film.
It's watchable.
Yeah, I went to cinema to see that.
We found a Stax movie. We found a Stax movie.
I'm trying to think of the song in it now, man. I think it goes to Armageddon track.
Stax movie, bro. Stax movie alert. Stax movie alert.
Armageddon.
You know why?
Tell us why you like Armageddon so much, man. You know what? I wasn't even thinking of that film when I was thinking of Bruce Willis. That is not a Bruce Willis film for me. I don't think of that.
At the time, because you know what I'm like with movies now. But at the time,
It was 98.
it was like
98.
special effects, disaster.
Rescue the girl.
I forget that. It's just a disaster, the special effects. Like, I'm all over that, especially in the cinema.
Oh, nice. I didn't even. If I was on Family Fortunes and they said Bruce Willis films in the 90s, I'm not saying I'm getting. So we would have won the prize. Don't worry. I would have said
in actual fact, it is a weak film.
I mean, say it's entertaining, it's watchable, it does what you need it to do as an action movie. If you're watching it with the family,
there's some weak bits.
There is, but like you say, it's got the special effects, it's got the big tunes in it, it's got the cast of characters in it. It's an alright one for the 90s. Yeah, I like some of his ones from the noughties as well. I like Tears of the Sun. Don't know if you ever saw that, about like a rescue mission to Africa. That's worth it. It's army film, but if you like them sort of films, that's a wicked film. And also really enjoy. I like 16 Blocks with Mos Def as well. Do you ever see that?
I didn't see that one.
That's well worth a watch, man. If you haven't seen
that,
16
was in the
Blocks. Yeah, 16 Blocks was around 2006. And they had Looper as well, which that's all right. The story, that's
Looper
good.
was all right.
Looper's pretty good, yeah. But then he dropped off for me, man. I don't know. It was like straight to DVD films, wasn't it?
But as you were saying, he's still making films now, but they're not blockbuster. They're not cinema. They're not.
There's another Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Just called McLean. And it's meant to be about the backstory or something, isn't it? I've read. But I think that's due out next year.
But is he in it?
Is it?
I
If
think
he is,
so,
it'll be another film where he's not running around because
it's got to be him with a flashback of a younger actor or something.
That's what I mean. Like, it's not going to be much of him. He'll just be telling someone a story, won't it?
Yeah.
This is how it went down.
Welcome
First
to the
I was
party,
moonlighting.
First I was moonlighting.
First I was moonlighting.
Then got invited to the party.
I put on my lucky vest and headed off to town. But Bruce Willis. For me in the 80s, Die Hard, 90s, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And since then, it's whatever's good comes
It's whatever
out
you can
from
find.
him.
But I've mentioned definitely the 3 or 4 that I've mentioned from the noughties and more recent times. They're worth a watch. They're all right.
Yeah. You know, it also another actor that turned down a role. He turned down Patrick Swayze's role in Ghost.
I can't see that with him in it.
Yeah.
He's not. He wouldn't be.
But ironically, he played a ghost later in Sixth Sense.
In Sixth Sense, yeah, you're right. I mentioned Expendables earlier. You see how he was missing from part 3? Yeah. Did you hear about he wanted too much money? He was the only one who demanded £1 million a day, and he had 4 days work. And Stallone was like, I'm not gonna write him in the script. Just leave him out. They just didn't write him in.
Wow.
Fair enough.
No, this one.
He's definitely he's expendable, man.
You want too much money, man.
I get him off the side. He's wasting time.
He stinks anyway.
And that brings us nicely into our next movie star, and that is, Mr. Schwarzenegger himself. Started off with Hercules in New York in 1970, and this took Hollywood by storm since then.
Pretty much so, wasn't it? Yeah.
Pretty much so.
Started off with a
But,
couple of sort of weightlifting movies, wasn't it? Was it Pumping Iron?
Pumping Iron.
Stay Hungry. I remember Stay Hungry and Pumping Iron.
Stay Hungry.
Well, like I remember from Pumping Iron, they all bust out of the place at the end and leg it down the road in their pants. Do you remember that bit?
Remember that.
It's like a documentary of them doing the Mr. Universe.
How could you just remember that bit? It's about lifting weights.
I don't know.
But you remember running out in their pants.
Oh no, in his blue pants running down the road. It's like, what? What sort of things is Pumping Iron?
Is that the same documentary where he goes eating isn't cheating?
It might be.
I think it is
might
actually,
be.
yeah.
It might
He's proper
be
young in it. He's proper young in it, man.
Yeah.
Funny, man.
Do you remember the film when he was a cowboy? I can't remember the name of it.
Cowboy?
It was like in the 70s, and he was like a sidekick, a cowboy dude. Listeners, you guys know the film.
He done a film called The Comeback early on. Was it that? I don't know what that was.
It may be that. I can't know, but I remember seeing a film because I remember seeing him obviously from the big action films we know for him, and then on TV on the slide there was this cowboy film. And I was confused, thinking, this is Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he looks younger. And this film says he's just clouded in this film.
Oh, I don't remember that. That might be the Comeback one then. What did you first see him? Was it Conan? You think? Or did you see Terminator? Then went back.
I think it was Conan. I think it was Conan because Conan was, as we've said in many podcasts before. Conan had one of those posters that you go, I want to see that film. It's a sword. There's a bird. Yeah. He's muscle bound, and the font of Conan with the sword going through it. It looked like a heavy metal album cover.
Yeah. Sword and Sandals, epic heavy metal version. Like.
So yeah, I think Conan was the first movie I saw.
I first saw Terminator.
Yeah, and obviously we saw Terminator at our mate's house.
I don't think maybe I realised that's the dude out of Conan at first.
Yeah, but he had longer hair, and it just confused you. When you're little.
He did look a bit different.
That's why Clark Kent looked different to Superman, and we fell for it.
Was that the same person?
The only difference was the glasses. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, Conan, first movie I saw. Then we saw Terminator, and your first is Terminator as well, Stack.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then back to Conan. I remember the other Conan just appearing, thinking, hold on, there's like a part 2 of that, man. What's that one about?
Yeah, so it was like the two standout films, the two films that when you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, from first memory for me, is probably Conan and the Terminator, and that carries the 80s. But he also he kept on bringing on delights.
Loads in the 80s, man.
Then we moved on to like Commando. Predator.
He liked the Sword and Sandals, Red Sonja.
Well, we're talking about big films, Mars. Because if we was going to go through everybody's film in this podcast, we'll be here all day.
I'm just about the 80s. The 80s, he had some hits, man. Running Man.
Red Sonja were the hit.
Red Sonja were the hit.
It was alright, I liked it.
You liked it.
I liked it.
You know what? Running Man went even a hit.
I feel there's a lot of films that Chris likes, like the majority of films.
Is a hit.
You've got time for them. Like sometimes I put a movie, but I ain't got time, mate.
I would watch that if I come on now.
What, Red Sonja?
Yeah, Commando, anything.
That's getting skipped straight past.
Anything from the 80s with a bit of Arnie in, I'm going to give it a watch. But apart from maybe Twins, I might give that a miss.
No, Twins was good. I think Twins was good.
No, I didn't like
it. It was good, but I just couldn't watch it again now, I don't think. I've seen it a bit too many times.
I was feeling Twins, man. I thought Twins was a good film. Twins, Kindergarten.
It was like the first decent comedy he'd done, innit? Because he was known for these, not serious, but he's known for these
action movies.
Action roles, yeah. I was going to say serious, but there was a lot of jokes in them. And that was a sort of like a comedy. It's like, okay, let's see what he's like in a comedy role after being in Terminator and having all them sort of roles. So yeah, it was good. I liked it.
The 90s, for me, I think Terminator 2 and Total Recall hold that. Yeah. They hold the 90s for him, for me. Whatever else he done is, for me,
Kindergarten Cop or Last
Action Hero. Last Action Hero.
Was it Eraser?
Eraser.
Eraser.
The only one that I'd put in there in the 90s was True Lies. True Lies
I didn't even like True Lies.
Jamie Lee Curtis was in it. It was alright.
True Lies was quite good.
It was not a bad film. It was like a James Bondy version sort of thing, wasn't it? But no, definitely T2 and Total Recall, man. He gets $10 million for making that, and he still gets 15% of of royalties and profits from that film, man. That's still probably paying nicely, isn't it? I would have thought, man. That was a good film. Didn't like the remake.
No.
Get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. Like,
Johnny Depp.
See you at the party, Victor.
Let's go to the party, Victor. Yeah, that movie had some classic one-liners, you know. Classic one-liners.
It's true,
but you know, originally his famous "I'll be back," it was originally written as "I'll come back."
Oh yeah.
So
did he have like trouble saying it or something? And he changed it to
I'll be back. Yeah, it was I'll come back. You know, it just don't have that same, you know, made. But roles that Arnold Schwarzenegger turned down. Roles that Schwarzenegger turned down. He turned down, apparently, right? He was considered as stars Flash Gordon.
What? As Flash?
As Flash.
Oh my god, no, that would
in that movie that we saw in the 80s. He was also considered to play Superman.
I heard that before. Yeah, that would definitely wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Nah.
He was also first in casting of Terminator. He was cast as Kyle Reese. James Cameron said, "No, I think he should go for the role as Terminator."
Use him as the Terminator.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
He also turned down Die Hard because Die Hard was originally going to be a sequel to Commando. So it's going to be Schwarzenegger,
right?
Yes, I did hear
doing
that.
his Commando in the building.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get up the elevator. Yippee-ki-yay! There's glass in my toe. No.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked. Yeah, I did it. Stallone turned it down after Schwarzenegger turned it down. They offered it to Stallone. He didn't want it. Ended up with get the guy off of Moonlighting.
Yeah,
all turned out good.
He also turned down RoboCop.
Yeah, that wouldn't have worked.
That wouldn't have worked.
He was too big for the suit.
He's too big for the suit, man.
So,
that would have been ridiculous. Can you imagine if RoboCop 3? Schwarzenegger.
He looked like the like the dude out of Batman. You know, he was in one of them Batman films, wasn't he? He done one of them.
Yeah.
He looked like that. He looked like a RoboCop sort of character in that.
Yeah, he did when he takes his mask off.
Yeah,
and that was terrible as well.
That was terrible.
That was so bad.
That's a bad
so
worst film ever.
That was so bad. He also turned down the role of Will Smith's I Am Legend was meant to be released 10 years ago before it was released.
Right.
And it was going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Then that could have worked. Could have worked maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would have watched that. That could have worked maybe.
Yeah. And Total Recall was originally for Patrick Swayze.
Nah.
That's a weird one. Yeah, that's a weird. That wouldn't have worked. No, you can't imagine him in it. You got to remember, this man dipped out.
Yeah, exactly. Dipped out in the north. Was that the noughties?
I think it was around the noughties.
Yeah.
Dipped out. Yeah. To stop the acting, and he managed to come back into acting. Like
again.
Yeah. Like for a generation, they wouldn't even know that he went into politics.
No, it'd be like Ronald Reagan, like for us, like that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not like Ronald Reagan because he started off as an actor, went into that, and then carried on acting. Like, it's like, do you know what I'm saying? It's just a crazy career from bodybuilding, being the best bodybuilder, acting, being the highest paid action hero of the 80s, and then still on a float. You know, all these sequels, Terminators and so on, and then Governor of California, and then goes back to being Terminator.
He goes back to being Terminator a couple of times more.
That's just nuts,
mad, isn't it?
That's just nuts. But he's making another Terminator film, isn't he?
I heard that, and he's doing something with Netflix. That I'm interested in. See what's happening with the Netflix thing. It's good to see some more straight to streaming stuff. So I'm interested in that. I did try and dip into the Man with the Iron Mask because Jackie Chan and Arnie. You think that could be good, but
no, they done a film in the 90s and it
turned it off.
They done 80 Days Around the World together.
Yeah, that was it. Like a
yeah. So that ain't working for me. No. As Stack said, you got time, you got patience.
Yeah, a lot of patience. I
give them a go.
Fast,
If they're no good, they're going off.
And our last one of this podcast is his old Schwarzenegger's old buddy, his
old
business
rival.
partner. Rival then turned as business partners with Bruce Willis having Planet Hollywood together.
Oh yeah.
And this guy brings them together. He said, "Let's make a film expendable. You can be in 1 and 2."
We fit everyone on the screen at the same time in every shot, and
at the same time in every shot.
That's what I thought when I watched it. I thought, man, how many more people can you fit into frame?
That's hilarious.
You like from No Retreat, No Surrender? You want to get him in there? Okay, anyway, as long as they're in an action film in the 80s, just join in. I don't care who you were.
Yeah,
just join in.
the background. You can come in it.
Just join in. What we're talking about, guys. We're talking about Sylvester Stallone.
A couple of podcasts ago, we were talking to Bob Wall, and he said he had a bit part in a film called Farewell My Lovely. That's where he first met him. Remember the little story Bob was saying? So that was his first sort of dip into films, and then from that, I think he sort of found, from what I read, he found himself like on the streets a bit. So he picked up like a soft porn film to make a bit of money, and
I remember we saw that.
Yeah,
I remember we went into a video shop when we were little. We said, "Is that Rocky?
Is that
Rocky?" I think it's
what
called
they done.
Italian Stallion or something.
It wasn't at first. That was released in 1970, and it didn't do anything. But in them days, it was called The Party at Kitty and Studs, and he played Stud. And then later on, after the success of Rocky in 76, they re-released this in 77, renamed it the Italian Stallion, and like he was wearing Rocky's black and yellow thing in it, because that's what attracted you to the cover.
Yeah, I thought
they try to cash in on it, innit? They try to cash in on it.
That's when we saw it. That's when we saw it. So early 80s, or late 70s.
I'm thinking, I remember seeing that front cover, but this ain't Rocky. But it's that man. We're like kids. We're like, hey, what's he doing with that woman?
What about Adrian?
Where's Adrian? Wow, yes.
He got paid $200 for that film.
Italian Stallion.
And that was full frontal, full nudity. It was only softcore, but it weren't worth $200
Fucking hell.
Definitely not.
Soft,
Hard time.
Remember Escape to Victory?
That was a good film.
What year was Escape to Victory?
81. That was early 80s. But that was good. He broke his finger. Pele broke his finger in that film, man.
So I like again. Seeing Escape to Victory, because remember we're little and there's no like trailers. I remember just seeing it on the telly. I remember just seeing it appear on the telly and thinking, is that Rocky? Like in gold? Rocky's in gold now.
He's in gold. And I remember from seeing it on telly, going back to the video shop and then seeing that like they were up on the front cover in it, and you can in a V for victory. And I remember thinking that is Rocky there, like that is Sylvester Stallone. I like that film. That film was good.
It was a surprise. It was a surprise. Like watching the film, and I thought, damn, it's Sylvester Stallone's in a football. It's about football.
Escape from a prison camp film, like a war.
Do you know what? I forgot that he was in it because I only watched it to see Pele.
Most people would, innit? You wouldn't even think you'd watch it for the up. But another 2 or 3 big stars in it, I think. There's a handful of stars in that film. But you don't really associate.
That was a surprise as a kid to see the guy that I saw as Rocky, and then later on as John Rambo in First Blood in goal. Yeah. So for me, the 80s of Sylvester Stallone is Rocky. I know he had Rambo 1 and 2, but
I liked Rambo as well, yeah.
But for me, Rocky was because there was, because of Rocky 3, the one with Mr. T, and then Rocky 4. That was just,
yeah.
It was.
And they were around cinema ones, weren't they? By the time they got round to 3 and 4, it was like we could go cinema now.
Yeah.
Before it was just watch them on video at home, sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
So them 2 are massive for me. But again, we couldn't see the 18 films at the cinema, so. Rambo weren't as big, but I liked it. I liked Rambo. It was good when it came out. Rambo 2.
Well, one of the Rambos that you suggested, D, you said, watch it. You'll like that one. And it was one of the newer ones, and I was like, it's not bad. Yeah. It's not bad, but I think
that's the best one.
Just the one that's Rambo, that one.
Yeah, Rambo. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like number 4 that would be, I think, wouldn't it? Yeah, that one's good. And then the newer one's all right as well. Not as good as
I didn't like the new one.
I didn't mind it.
It felt like it should have just been on TV.
Yeah, they have got that feel about them. A bit 18-y, isn't they? 18 with a bit of killing.
No, it weren't 18. It was ultra violent, bro. It is ultra violent. Hearts, mate. What are you talking about?
18 with a few traps and that. With a bit of killing.
Bringing out their hearts.
It is ultra violent. Yeah,
it's nothing like the 18.
I mean, all the traps in the tunnels, and like. He has to do the place up right at the 18.
Mate, it was more Tom and Jerry.
Ultra violent.
Because it was ultra violent and setting up traps.
Yeah.
It was a film version of Tom and Jerry, bro, because people were getting chopped up and hearts taken out.
Yeah, it was all over the shop. Now 1 and 2 were the best 2 for me, man. I liked Over the Top back in the 80s as well. That was an alright film.
Do you know, Over the Top was a film that one, as you were saying, you was able to go cinema, so you just had this addiction to just see a film,
and that would have been a PG in it. So it's
like you
can just
and they got us then because any film that was at 18, they always said we're going to release a massive 18 film with an action star, but the kids are going to want to see it. But let's make a PG for them with the same action star, so they'll come and see him in a softer version of what he's up to.
Exactly.
And they've done it with Schwarzenegger, they've done it with Stallone. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But apparently the reason why he took Stop When Mum Will Shoot was he heard that Schwarzenegger was going to take the role, and at that time they had this battle
rivalry,
and so he went for it. But Schwarzenegger was tricking him. I fooled you. He was joking, right? And made Stallone take it. Imagine that.
It ruins mate's career, you know.
Yeah, you having to work with one of the Golden Girls.
The joke's on your side. I ain't feeling that swatch. I ain't feeling that, honey. What do you want me to do? I mean, this film is so well. One of my action movies.
That film, man. Shit. Fucking hell.
So, yeah.
he dipped into like remember he had a TV show. We didn't get it as much over here, but a boxing TV show with Sugar Ray.
The Contender.
Oh
yeah, we did get it here. It was late
at night. It did come out over
it. That was all right. When the first series in the noughties, The Contender was all right.
He stopped the filming a bit and went on to that, and then off of the back of that, I think he must have got the urge to do another Rocky, wasn't it? That's when just Rocky, but one Rocky.
Well, the thing is, you know, the thing was Stallone. He's never out of the picture. Remember, he had Rocky 5 in 1990, which was total cat.
That ain't good. Tommy Gunn.
It was one of the worst movies ever. And then he was still bubbling around, as I said, with the Cop Man and all that, Demolition Man and so on. And then I think he went, let me just revitalize my old characters, and then came the Rocky, Rocky Balboa, Rambos, and then Creed. And he's kept consistent in that respect, but he's also been in Ants. He started doing voiceover. He was a weaver in Ants. Remember the cartoon Ants?
Was he?
Yeah.
He was in I don't know how you didn't recognize. He's an ant. He's like that. He's the worker ant.
Normally recognizable.
Yeah. If the ant looked like Stallone.
I didn't pay much attention to it.
The ant looked like Stallone.
What did he do in Guardians? Was he a voiceover in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Guardians of the Galaxy. No, he was actually in it.
He's an actual character, isn't he?
Yeah, he was I can't remember his character's name, but he's actually in it.
I vaguely remember what he looks like in it.
Yeah. So that goes to show he's still, if blockbuster movies are still hiring him, as well as him doing expendable movies.
He's the only actor that has starred in like a #1 box office film over the last 5 consecutive decades. Only in 50 years, only actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's mad.
And as I was saying at the top of this, I love how he's, he brings in all the 80s people, In every Expendables, he just adds an 80s guy. Hey Mel, we're gonna do that. Harrison Ford, we're gonna do this. Hey, Wesley Snipes, we're gonna do this. He just, and even doing Escape Plan with Schwarzenegger, So he's doing his thing. But here's some roles that he turned down. Roles that Sly turned down. Sly turned down Beverly Hills Cop, as we've mentioned.
That wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. And then that's why he made Cobra.
Okay.
He also turned down a role of Superman.
That would have worked.
He also turned down Richard Gere's character in Officer and Gentleman and Pretty Woman.
Neither of them.
Yeah, he would have worked for Pretty Woman, not at all.
He turned down Harrison Ford's role in Witness. He turned down Bruce Willis' role in Die Hard.
He could have probably done Die Hard.
He turned down playing Dudley Moore's character in Arthur.
No one can do that like Dudley.
Yep. And he turned down Kurt Russell's role in Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof, the stunt rider. But I did hear that he was also considered for John Travolta's role in Pulp Fiction.
Nah, that wouldn't work.
That wouldn't work.
But you guys say this. You guys say this because you see what you see. But if it was that character, you would have said the same thing about another character. You didn't know it.
Yeah, and he's worked with him before because didn't he? Again, early 80s, he directed was it Staying Alive, Saturday Night Fever, or Staying Alive? Staying Alive.
He did. He directed Staying Alive.
Yeah, which I thought that was odd. I thought, wow, what? Sylvester Stallone? What the? That seemed weird.
Well, he directed the Rocky movies, so
yeah. But then just going to 80s disco, it's like, okay, that's a bit odd.
And the guy, look, he makes boxing. He can listen to disco as well, you know.
Yeah, he can do
that.
Can't imagine him doing that, but
boxing, I love a bit of disco. What do you think he dances to, man? Stallone, man.
80s rock, man. Definitely 80s rock. What I like about Stallone,
he hired James Brown for Rocky IV, man. That says it all.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's true. No, that weren't him. That was Carl Weathers. He brought him in, man. He brought him in. What I liked about Rocky, though, he was one of them poster. I remember having a poster of Rambo with the rocket launcher and you know, all these pin-ups of him, and you look at him and think, man, he's just ripped, man. One day I'm gonna get like that, and I like it finally now.
Did it ever happen?
I'm starting to get his body. Yeah, he's got my body now.
Oh yeah, now
when you look at him now, he looks like me. It's like, hold on, you've got the belly, and that's all right, man.
Chris is like, I've made it.
I made it, man. I made it.
I've got a body of a 70-year-old.
That's true.
Oh man, so that's our four, right? They were part of Hollywood action. You know, all four of these guys were part of the pinnacle of Hollywood action in the 80s and 90s, and you know, they're still doing their thing now. Funny thing, one of your other films that you used to like, Stack, just actually used to like in the 90s.
Another film,
Face Off.
Oh my god.
Was originally supposed to be Schwarzenegger and Stallone.
Really?
That would have been better.
Yeah.
That's Nicolas Cage, isn't it?
You know what?
Yeah.
It might well have been better because
it was supposed to be them two.
That film is so cool.
Yeah.
There's something about Nicolas Cage now when I see him in a film. It's like, I can't watch this.
I know. But anyway, he won't be on our list because we don't have no memory of his film. But we're going to come back with some more. I can't remember the name of the title of this podcast, guys. We're back some more with this kind of thing.
More Hollywood actors.
80s action.
80s action.
Actors who are still
What are they up to now?
Yeah.
What is going on with you guys?
Remember to hit like, hit comment, and remember to subscribe. Join us next time.
Carry on. I thought he's going to close the show, man.
That's your job.
So peace.
Until next time.
Let's take a moment now to harken back to past days. The Jerichos and large braids, all the parts and waves. I'm parting ways with all our money in the arcades. Trying to reach the final boss and beat the last stage. Playing Street Fighter 2 and button bashing till my fingers were numb and smashed in. But life is now in 4K and I'm a little jaded. It was clear when it was 16 bits and pixelated. Doing the shuffle and the running man. Oh, happy days and big ups to Richie Cunningham. Taking it back to black plimsolls. Moving through the city scene in our chippy jeans with the pin rolls. And it was break beats before the finger snaps. Blockbuster late fees, I would never bring them back. Reminiscing over yesteryear. It's like I'm scrolling through the teletext and next I'm gonna shed a tear.
Those were the days I remember.
Playing in the streets for ages.
Those were the days.
Calling your friends on their house phones.
Those were the days.
Summer holidays for 6 weeks.
Those were the days. Those were the days. Those were the days.
Being friendly with your neighbors.
Those were the days.
Watching cartoons this tune. I'm talking about Sega and Nintendo cartridges. Before you could even play the game, you had to blow out the cartridge like. The days when